Yeah, so I was riding my snowmobile to pick up the package that contained the Note 20 Ultra 5G blah blah blah. It actually got delivered to the front of my door, but I thought that, hey, might as well try and make it all dramatic and such. Ventured out on my snowmobile to pick up my new phone while it was freezing out in the mailbox, but in reality it was freezing out on my front doorstep for like a couple seconds. So, yeah, I'm gonna be going over some of the basics of the phone, and I've had it for about a week now. Tested everything out. Well, tested a lot of it out. Dude, I don't think my face is clean in that video, but I mean, it's a snowstorm and there's not really much I can do about it. Living the backwoods life for a few months since New York City's pretty much quiet now, and well, not quiet, but jobs and all the events going on in the world. I thought that, hey, what's the best thing while you're kind of taking a break from reality but to upgrade your phone, right? Priorities. Yeah, there's the box. So, yeah, I'm gonna be showing a few of the features, a few of the things I like about the phone, a few of the things, I can't really say there's not much I don't like, but there's a couple, but I'm about to go over that now, so enjoy the scenery. Yeah, I really need like a GoPro or something if I'm gonna record. Holding my S9 Plus out in the freezing cold while I get that package, probably. Yeah, wasn't the best. So this is the Note 20 Ultra 5G and all those extra things. 5G. Have a Spigen case on it, or however you pronounce it. Now, what is it, Mystic Bronze? That's a bit debatable. It is bronze, I guess, but yeah. Anyway, camera, I have a protector on it, which we'll have to see how it goes. I don't know if it's interrupting any pictures, but anyway, that's the back of it. I do like how it's more like not as glassy, so fingerprints aren't automatically stuck on so easily. I have a screen protector on, and there's the bottom, S Pen, headphone jack is gone, and USB-C, of course. So yeah, there's a fingerprint scanner on the screen. which is different from my S9 Plus, but you know, and there's the 5G, which it says 5G, so I can only assume, even though the towers are kind of not there yet, but I don't know. Looks like it is 5G, hopefully. To get started, we can look at the S Pen, which pretty much is the main difference between all the Galaxy phones. Now the S Pen could be a little clunky at first to get used to, but it does pop up, and that how it pops up, there's a little blue line. Now it's a little tricky, but there's different options to expand, contract. So testing it out, the pen might feel a little weird at first, but it is awesome. And showing here, it's very fun to erase and write. Now going through some of the settings, you can see the sensitivity is pretty cool, because like it gives you a good space to see that dot. It's like a black circle on the screen, and once that dot is on the screen, you can pretty much write. You don't have to worry about moving the page at all, and writing on it can get really addicting, honestly. Now I use it pretty much like if I need a quick note. And looking at the text, my handwriting is not the best, and that's a pretty damn good test for my handwriting to be converted into the text it shows. Pretty much moving on with the S Pen. There's one button in the center that you can use, which I will show later. The notepad, it's fun. There's a few apps you can use with it, like a drawing app, and there's many different functions you can use with it. Looking at the camera is pretty much what makes the phone. Like, that's the big thing about this phone. But using my S9 Plus to record, the S9 Plus camera is pretty good also. But there is a difference. The new camera is awesome. With that awesome camera, they decided to have a pretty unique bump. Now, I retrieved a couple of things to show that you do get used to it pretty much immediately, but that camera bump is pretty substantial. Yeah. Another fingerprint, and the Face ID also. I mean, I was behind the camera and it picked up my face pretty fast. Well, it's not Face ID, it's Apple, but you know, it recognizes your face, and it's simply volume up, volume down, and kind of like the lock or power button. Not many buttons anymore. Pretty basic. And overall, it's a really good displaying phone. Gotta say that. Now, putting a quarter up to the camera bump very comfortably holds that quarter. Just to try and give a size comparison. The AA battery holds it up pretty well also. Not that I recommend doing this, but it's just trying to give a perspective of that very unique camera bump, and the fact that at least my fingerprints don't stick on like the S9 Plus does. That camera protectors thing I got, yeah, it's tricky. But the bezel is not that bad. The bezel's never bothered me. Showing an example of the S Pen. Here I am watching some of my favorite electrical music, and it's really hard to show like a screen quality, but that's where it blows my S9 Plus out the window. this quality is just... I downloaded it so you can't really change the settings, but just to show what the S Pen can do, go ahead and click on it, that little button in the center, and the music can be skipped. And there's different features like this, but it is addicting. Play, pause, all that stuff with the little S Pen. You can take pictures with it, you can click it. Well, it has to be extended out to lock it back in, otherwise you gotta click it again. But I mean, it still is a very, very fun pen to play with. And is pretty much the main reason to truly appreciate the phone. Now I can go on and on and on and on and on and on about all the specs, all the cute little things that they have pretty much tweaked to make phones advanced as they are. But we do have to come to reality at some time to understand that phones, even my S9 Plus, I think I dropped about $800 for a brand new one. And now we have phones that are pretty much very expensive for the highest quality. And when you get them, you get a box with not quite much anything in it. Even the boxes don't seem as nice anymore, honestly. Now, I will say the charger is like nice, even though it's USB-C, which is kind of weird, but I will say the super fast charging does serve justice. I mean, it charges the phone pretty fast, but it's really hard to say if that is worth it or not. And that's why I decided to go to some pros and cons. The case I got, it is offers good protection. Does have a kickstand that flops around as it does, and I had the same exact case for my S7 Edge, and that kickstand is definitely going to break off if you use it a lot, or if it, it'll snap off a couple times, but it might last if you treat it well. Protects the camera, which is good also, since that camera bump. I do notice that both settings either makes the phone really high or really low in an angle, so kind of bothers me because I really wish there was more middle ground, but it does get the job done, and holds the phone up as long as you are around to catch it easily, because I really wouldn't want to rely on that plastic, but you can move it around a bit. Showing my screen protector, it's held up pretty well, and also showing the note feature where you can make notes really quickly on the screen. I have not mastered it yet, but it appears where if the screen is off and you pull the pen out, then a black screen appears and you can write notes like, here we go for Warfabai, like a shout out to Mac Warfabai, who's one of my favorite YouTubers. I still think about my S9 Plus. I'm even writing it on the screen right now, because it was probably one of the last phones that I didn't feel like I feel like I paid a fair price. But I gotta say, this phone is very powerful, and it's very convenient, and it does hold down pretty well with like accidental touches and such. It's quite smart. The S Pen is fun. I mean, I could imagine that I would probably need a replacement in the future, because it does feel like, yeah, I'm definitely going to lose it or something. Now, the phone will remind you that your pen is out. I tried to show it on the video, but it only shows it when I am not thinking about it, because, I mean, it's a smartphone, so it's smart. And, yeah, showing the notes one more time. Gonna go over some pros and cons about this phone. I figured, why not? Let's use my phone to show the pros and cons. Some of the pros and cons in my head are, the pros are the S Pen. The cons can be a headphone jack, if that's the way you think about it, because I do know people that still use the headphone jack. It still is great to have, just to know, yeah, I spent so much money, but I have one. And to go over the ergonomics of the phone, yeah, it's really fun to write those notes. Anyway, moving on, going over the pros again of this phone is it's fast. It has an SD card. It has an S Pen. It does a lot of fun things. What's the biggest con I could think about this phone? Well, that would simply be the price. This phone is expensive. And that's probably the biggest con I could think about it. It's an expensive phone where you gotta, pay the price, I guess. Buy now, cry later. My recommendation would be an S9 Plus and up. If you're looking for a better camera, you're gonna get it with this. You're gonna get it with the S21, as long as you don't mind not having an SD card. But I would say if you have an S9 Plus, you're probably good for this year. S10 Plus, you're definitely good, especially if it's an S10 or Note 10 Plus, whatever the hell Samsung wants to call it. Yeah, you're definitely good, and I would not recommend upgrading, because, yeah, I just never had a Note, and this is my first one, and it is fun to play with the Note Pen. For my final thoughts, I just want to say that I like taking pictures a lot, and the camera has blown me away. I'm pretty sure if I even waited for the S21, the camera would have blown me away, probably even more, who knows. But it pretty much comes down to, phones have pretty much reached the apex of what it can do at the moment. If you want a better camera, then the way phone prices are, you might want to look into just getting a SLR or a DSLR camera. But there is no doubting that the phones are pretty fast. Like, after using the Note 20 Ultra, it's definitely faster than my S9 Plus. I mean, I would be interested to see if I factory reset my S9 Plus, what the speed difference would be. But I would say that it all depends on personal preference. I personally am really enjoying my Note 20 Ultra 5G. it's just tough to say. I mean, I don't know if Samsung's going through another phase where it just removes an SD card for a series and it brings it back, or if they went from mocking Apple to becoming Apple. It's tough to say. I will say though that technology always increases, but going from my S9 Plus to my Note 20 Ultra 5G, blah 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 blah, I do appreciate the improvements, and it does come down to personal preference. I'm personally happy, but it all depends on what you want. To break it down pretty much, if you want a better camera, which I like, and you want a little faster, which I like, then the new phones are good. If you're satisfied with your current phone, I would recommend holding on to it. Thank you all for listening and watching, and I hope you all have a very safe year. Thank you.